All right. So in 2019, I realized that my CV needed a master. And in that moment, I found so many stumbling blocks, like which country, which master, the GMAT, and so on and so forth. And I found definitely lost. And I was looking for help in that moment, and I didn't find any, with exception of YouTube, books, and so on. But today, fortunately, there are companies which help students in this period of time, and that's why I have the pleasure to interview Anshul, co-founder of 700 Plus, a company which helps students to make the right steps to apply for these top master's universities. So, ciao Anshul, and thanks for being
Ciao,
here.
Lorenzo. So, no, thank you so much for having me, first of all. Before we even start, I wanted to say congratulations on what you are doing.
Oh,
But
thanks.
I see that you're also following a very great initiative. I think we have a lot of common things there. But as you said, yes, I totally agree. It's this period that you were mentioning, like 2019. Unfortunately, what we also saw is a lot of people go through that without any proper guidance or help. And I mean, one of the ways that we want to help is that it should not be an idea of if they get the right thing, they land in the right place. It should be, it should not be a privilege. I think everybody
Right.
needs, they should have the correct information to make the correct choices when it concerns their career, which I think is super important. So I'm really excited to be there today to share with your audience,
All right.
whatever we can talk a bit more about this. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And I agree with you that the main point is have the right information, then students will do the best that they can with those
Exactly.
information, but at least they have them.
Exactly. I'm a big believer that information assets,
Yeah.
should not be held back behind certain, paywalls or curtains. I think everybody deserves the right to information so that they can choose what is the best for themselves. So I totally agree with that.
Super. Let's start from the beginning. So, who is Anshul and what 700 plus do,
Wow,
700
the,
plus
the, the
does?
very important questions.
Yeah.
I'll give a brief. So I'm actually from India. I was born in Kashmir, which is super famous. I have learned being in Europe for the cloth, Kashmir. This is not Kashmir,
All right.
but and so I come from there. It's a mountain place. I was born there. It's a beautiful place. As my background, I studied engineering. But the thing is, if you look at an average Indian family, I come from a very average Indian family, middle class as we call them. Education is a big part of our life culturally. And I see that it's also in Italy. Like India
Definitely.
and Italy are very similar. So I grew up in a household where education was at the top. I was a pretty decent student because I was curious. So I found my way, and education helped me in getting into some of the things which were, you know, I would say a bit far reaching. So education is where I got into like one of the top engineering schools in India. I did my engineering from there, but I realized that's not what I'm, really excited about. I like to solve
Right.
problems, but I cannot sit and code for hours. So I changed a lot of things, but what landed me to Milan, I did my MBA here in Polytechnico, amazing school. And that was
Oh,
again, like I scored, I would say pretty good on GMAT. And that gave me the chance to enter into some of the masters that I wouldn't otherwise think because of scholarships. I think we will talk about that and money. And just with GMAT, like one test, it solved all of those problems, which I think is still persistent now. And I see it every day, And so I did my master's and doing other things, trying other things in life, I think everybody should. At least I did. We started the 700 plus club, and the idea, it was not that, it was a business plan and you sit down and this is what you want to do. I think it started with a problem of, so I was teaching GMAT part-time while studying
all
at
right.
Polytechnico, on Saturdays, making some extra money to spend
Super.
more in the club and have a coffee like normal people do, right? But after you go there, and then my first venture here was a consulting company where we were focused on piccole e medie imprese. And
Okay.
we were coming from the recession period, right? 2008. And our idea was to help these small companies in internationalization, right? So we were working with Confindustria in Siena and other places, helping these small scale industries, coffee producers, pasta producers. So food was one part, and we were helping them to go international. So A to Z, right? But one small part of our vertical was also education. So we were also working on education side, typically with test prep. across Europe. So, and now that I think of it, with my co-founder, Lana, we studied together. We were both passionate about education, so we kept it as a part of the consulting offering. While doing that and everything, we realized with the students, there is tremendous potential in Italy. At least that's what we saw. We worked with students who were amazing in terms of how they really are. But the problem we saw was on the test score did not reflect the potential they had. And we asked ourselves why. First, it was because of frustration. Like, we are helping and we are tutoring and we are not getting the results, so you're frustrated, right? But when you go deep, it's a very mixed thing. It's not just prep. There is a potential. So our idea was, how can we make sure that every student can realize their full potential when it matters, not someday, not on a Sunday, but when it matters. That was the first idea of 700. And then it also started because of the frustration from the market. We were working with a lot of other players, as a thing, but we saw that the market was not doing enough. I think the market needs to evolve with the changing needs, and it didn't. There were companies in Milan that were like 30 years ago and doing the same thing that worked for them then, because whatever the reason. But I think you need to think more in terms of how you can serve the customer. From day one, our idea was, can we create something which is simple, which takes care of everything that the student needs in terms of guiding them, having the best tutors, and that's something that we take very seriously at 700. And when I say best tutor, I don't mean, hey, how much did you get in GMAT? Oh, I got 780. Oh, teach for me. Wouldn't do that. You cannot be a good teacher unless you're empathetic. You can put yourself in the shoes of the student, understand how they think, what problems they have. And it's more of transferring the knowledge. I don't care how much knowledge you have. Can you transmit it? Those were the core principles when we started. And I taught quant, Lana taught verbal. We did everything from scratch because the idea was something bigger, right? The idea was, can we create something that helps student realize the full potential? Now that we have grown a bit, the first slogan we had was your best score, period. It's non-negotiable. That's the whole idea when we started, and it worked. And when we had the first, the feedback from the students, we realized that exactly, right? You know that, oh, it's working, right?
It's working.
Exactly. Like you wake up on a Monday morning and you get a call from Ricardo, ciao Anshul, we did it, fuck. We are in MIT. Those are the moments for which you live, for which you do what you do, like those. So that was the idea of, we need to do it full time. That's how we started. So no fancy story there, my friend. Like, it's how it was.
Yeah, but definitely, basically, you found the spot and you just started helping people. Makes sense. It works. Why not to help more people? That's
exactly
correct.
True.
Super. And
a lot of people also ask us, why did you start in Milan? Because I come from India, Lana is from Russia, we're not Italians, as an outsider starting up a company, and everybody is like, but why Milan? If you look from the market perspective, because we did MBA, right? So you do those analysis. It is not the biggest market. But again, the idea was, how can you change what is happening now in the moment, right? You meet so many amazing people and they don't have a clear direction. So we didn't have an idea of, we want to make it a huge business and so on. It started with the problem that we saw and with the idea that I think we can make a change. It was a chance. I will not say we knew it. It was a chance that we can make a difference. I think it worked, at least in a part.
Definitely. And I agree with you in the sense that we work with students as well. And yes, there are so many students with a lot of potential. They just need sometimes just a guidance, sometimes just, the right information or the right instruments to get their potential. And yeah, the results are amazing.
Exactly.
So, and today 700 plus doesn't help just with GMAT, correct? But it's
That's
like
right.
360 degrees with, you tell me, yeah.
Exactly. No, you're right. Like we started with the GMAT. That's why the name 700 plus club.
Yeah.
It was super focused on GMAT thing. But as we evolved, so did the pain points of our students. It was like, hey, I got a 720, 730. I need to apply. And then we were not doing it because we were focusing on building the test part of the business. But again, the market, what was available on the market, I'll tell you one story and it's true. One of our students, he went somewhere around the center, and he paid €200 for a 15 to 20-minute consultation of the profile evaluation. Like, wow. I was shocked. I was shocked. I did my research, found who those people were. It's fine, whatever people do, but do they have the credibility of offering such kind of a service that you charge 250 for a student because he's in need? I thought, no, this needs to change. Like, because if we're helping these students and they're at the place, we are not going all the way. We need to really go all the way. So again, with Lana and now with my team, we have amazing people working with us. We decided, no, guys, we need to tackle this challenge. So we started also doing the admission consulting, which is end to end. And through your place, I'm also happy to announce recently we started a new initiative which we call Super 50. And the idea is very simple. We pick 50 people because we want to keep it limited, not because we don't want to, it's because we don't have capacity. 50 people that we work with end to end, GMAT, test prep, IELTS, interviews, preparations, their essays, what is the story, and we help them apply to the top schools worldwide, right? So that's why it's called Super 50. And we recently had the first results coming in, like, because we had the first interview invitation. So we have invitations from, I'm super excited, as you can see, like Harvard, Columbia, MIT, all of them are coming in. And I see that, yes, we're helping people all the way, right? So true, now we do everything for master's, MBA, and we also do the undergrad for the SAT prep, which is for the bachelor student. Yes, Bocconi, if you want to enter Bocconi, you can take SAT, but also a lot of universities in Italy have started accepting the SAT. And a lot of our students also go to US. We had students who went to Harvard last summer who got into Harvard. I think there were 4 or 5 from Italy, and I think a couple of them were from us. So it fills me with immense pride, when I see those people who 5 months ago were kind of doubtful on what the next step is. So this is what we are doing now.
Yeah, I can see, I can feel the energy, and I'm super happy for you because yeah, you definitely change lives, because when you do these kind of masters, attended or not attending it, it makes a huge difference in the, in the experience in the following years from a career point of view. So super. I think that if one day I will decide to attend for an MBA, I'll call you. If that's fine for you, I will.
If you don't, I will feel hurt, Lorenzo. That absolutely would be a pleasure.
Yeah, definitely. All right, I will ask you the first question.
Is the coffee allowed?
Yeah, definitely. Go. Yeah, go. The first question is, when, in your opinion, a student should start looking for the right master? Because in my experience, I mean, I didn't want to attend a master in 2019. I just wanted to go to work. Then I realized that I needed a master. So in that moment, I started looking for one. So the question is, when should a student start looking for it? Maybe during the undergraduate period? I don't know. I'm asking you.
Yeah. I think it's a very good question, and I hope a lot of people who listen to this take it seriously, because as you said, it's clear you don't know what you want to do. But what I always tell students is it's good to plan, look at all the possible options, and then decide. It's fine, because it can happen that one doesn't work and you need to shift the direction. Definitely. So what we always advise is the sooner the better, but let's break it down concretely, right? I'm a quant person, so usually in the second year which is the best place, right? Because you have done 1 year. If you move to university, you are settled in and everything. You see which kind of courses you like. Are you more strategy, marketing person, or economy, quant, and finance? Right. That gives you a clear idea of maybe this is a field I want to go in. But start just looking into the world. Talk to us, for example, or talk to other people who have done similar things. Go on the internet, look at the top schools. If you wanted to do a master, what are the things? Start getting involved. Go to the trade shows, talk to people who are studying in these schools and see what they are feeling and so on. Talk to people who are working in the industries that you like. And if they did a master, ask them how it helped. Small things that slowly you are getting involved so you can make a better decision, right? Second year is the best period because you have time and you can plan things, and you also understand which kind of schools are better for you. Most of the people start in third year, but that's the max. Because a lot of people don't know is the application period starts 1 year before. So
There are
right
some
now,
deadlines.
bravo, exactly. Like we are in 2024 September. Somebody who wants to do a master in 2025 September, the deadline is now, first deadline. It already started. And to apply, you need a lot of stuff to be done before, which takes around 7 to 8 months,
Yeah.
right? So technically, by the time you start your third year, which is you start the last year of your bachelor's, you should have a very good idea of what you are doing, which are the schools, right? So I would say 1 year for sure, minimum, but ideal would be at least around 2 years, 1.5 to 2 years. That gives you enough time.
I want to underline something that you said. You said in the second year, start taking information. Also, for example, asking people which already have done that, already did that, or people in that sector and so on. I want to underline this because this is something that when we are younger, sometimes we don't do because we are afraid to, disturb people, or if it's something awkward, I don't know him, so if I ask something, I would say, now I understand it. Like if you want an information, you should go for it. So
Be shameless.
if that person has that information, ask. Then you see. Maybe if it doesn't reply, that's fine. Ask another person, but at least you tried. So if you want information, go for it.
True.
That's true.
What you say is so true. I thought it was only in Italy because we primarily work with a lot of Italian students. But now since a year and a half, we work almost all around Europe, Germany, Switzerland, London, Austria, Portugal, France, quite different places. But the problem is the same. People are shy.
Yeah.
Like they don't think it's possible. And what I think is the best strategy is be shameless. You are young, you are stupid. It's okay. Be shameless, ask, let them say no, but be prepared to say no. You have to have that humility that I need to try 10 people and one will reply. Don't assume that I ask one and they should reply. No, that's not how life works. Ask 10 people, you will get one reply, and it's enough. It's enough. So absolutely, I agree with that.
You said don't be shy. When I was during my first year, I was this professor that was, sorry, a story.
No, go on.
The professor was like asking people, like imagine in the class, and this professor, pointing at students and saying, please stand up, read a slide in front of all the other students, first year in English. And so after two, three people, he stopped and he said, guys, he was I think he is still a lawyer, and he stopped and said, guys, if you're shy, you lose. And we were like, those statements that you write, to remember.
A tattoo.
Yeah, definitely.
True.
All right,
True.
so little
He
story.
was right.
Question, because when I started looking for a master, my doubt was which master is the best one, not the best one, but the best, aligned with my goals. So which is the best for me. So how to understand which master is the best for my goals. And the other doubt was, does the geographical location impact on my career? Because maybe after that master, probably will find a job in that country. So
both of them are the right questions to ask.
All right.
And I'll give a simple framework to the audience, right? There's a lot of information on internet, true, but you need to have a system that you put in place to assess the information. And I will break it down into 4 things. There is the research that you do, so that's your research. First of all, whatever you do, please record whatever you are doing. A document, Word, Excel, I don't care, but keep track of things. What I see a lot of times, people just read and they say, oh, it was good. And then 6 days later, they forget what they studied before. So have the idea of documenting your research. Easy is Excel, have different tabs, 4 tabs. First tab is my research. So I go on the internet, I check, for example, let's say INSEAD, the Masters in Management at INSEAD, or the MBA at Harvard. You do your research on the website, what people are saying on the forums, and so on. That's what you are finding online. The second is from other people. There are 2 categories. People who are studying now, because that's the most recent feedback on the institute now, not 2 years ago. and the other is who studied there. And you're looking for two things. One is the people who are studying there, ask them relevant questions that, is it fitting to what you thought it would be? So why did you choose this? And is it up to your expectation, right? What are you missing or what are you liking? It gives you an idea of what people like, they don't like, what is missing from the school. And there is no bias there. Then you see if it's for you. The second is from people who already graduated.
Attended.
What are they doing in life? And did the school have an impact to what they wanted to do? Like if you want to do a master, you need a master for something. Better job, better pay, change the location, get into consulting, whatever that is. Find the people and then ask them if it helped them match the expectation and how. Third thing, and a lot of people, I tell you, don't do this enough. Ask the fucking schools. They're on the road around the year, traveling to the cities which close to you at least. Like there are fairs in Milan, in Rome, in Torino. Go there, ask the schools relevant questions, not that you find on the website. Talk to them, get their perspective, see how they are as people. What are the values they have? Is it more collaborative? Is it more competitive? These are the things you need to look for. And once you have this, then you can understand which of these schools are better for you. Of course, there is the ranking. You can look at Financial Times. You can look at the QS. You can look at Bloomberg. Usually, the infamous ones are everywhere. So at least you have a list of 15 to 20 schools. You also need to look at your expectations. Do you need a scholarship? Who's paying for your master's? How do you do it? How much money can you or your family spend? These are vital questions you need to plan, right? The master's can be for 12,000 and there are masters for 85,000, right? Yeah. Both are fine. Once you have all these parameters, then either with alumni, other people with more information, or organizations like us, like come to us, we do free evaluations, and we also organize a lot of seminars with the schools, with our ex-students that you can get all this information from. That gives you a good idea of which kind of schools you're looking at, right? And then the second important thing that you should always ask is why you are doing the master's, short-term goal, and then long-term. And then which is the better place for you to be, right? I want to get into consulting. Okay, the school on your list, how many people go into consulting from this school? Well, if nobody goes, then why are you hoping something different by going to this school, right? So you need to see what happened before, use the historical data, because usually it is that. From the business side of the thing, schools also work with companies around that. INSEAD is super famous for consulting. It's the world feeder for consulting. There are schools, Chicago Booth, finance, LBS, great for finance, HSC, So schools have their own reputation, and it's because of their strong networking with these companies that they have sent students from a long time. So these are some of the things that students must do. Absolutely.
Okay. So summarizing, you suggest to make like an Excel with the information you found, the information found from current students, past students,
exactly.
Right? Then all the financial sector, financial
the financial plan, if you want scholarships, loan, everything. And the last one is the schools themselves. Hear it from them. Ask them the relevant questions. Right? So absolutely.
Yeah. When you have them like written, then it's easier to take a decision, to make a decision. I like this approach.
Absolutely.
It's like logical step one, step three approach. Definitely.
Exactly. You'll be surprised how people think, because if I say this school is amazing, but as you said, but for you, how do I know that? I need to know what you want, and you need to know what you want. I think that's the first step, and a lot of people miss that step, and they go by, my friend went to that school, it's a great school, I will just go there. That's it. They just follow.
Also, what I was doing at that, in that period was, which one is the best? The best three. I want those in the ranking. I want those. But actually, that's the wrong way, because I need to find the best for me and for my goals, as you said.
Exactly.
All right.
And usually the ones in the top of the rankings, the top 15, top 20, most of them, usually you fit into one of those schools. That's what I have seen. So from that side also, it's covered. You are not going to some, unless you want something which is super specific, right?
Definitely. And I just wanted to underline something. You are talking about this kind of research and this Excel, whatever, and it takes time. So we go back to the point,
Exactly.
start earlier. Don't do it, maybe in the last months of the undergraduate period.
Exactly. And we follow our students a lot, and we collect a lot of data, right? It's something that helps us make unbiased decisions. So we can form opinion based on data, right? So far we have helped more than 2,500 students. So that gives me enough data points to understand. And I can tell you that the idea was what we have seen, students who start their preparation, not only GMAT, but also the idea of which masters and the research early, tend to get better results. And it's proven by data, hands down. And it gives you the ability to change your course when you have new information because you're ready and you are not running late, right?
Definitely.
So absolutely, start early, guys.
During the first part of the interview, you said there is a first part of imagine the process of application. There is a first phase where probably you send all the documents and what the university is asking for. And then a second phase, a second part, which is the interview, correct?
Yeah.
We'll try to talk about both of them. Let's focus on the first one for the moment. And which are the requirements usually of these top master's universities?
So you're right. I mean, these are usually the two sections, right? The first one, what we call the application, is everything is online now. So what they expect, the classic, your transcripts, where you have studied, you fill in all the information. So one is your transcripts. They're very clear on what kind of degree you should have. Depends. Like if you want some specific, you should have a background in that. You cannot just apply. So make sure to check the requirements. Then the second one is the test requirement, like GMAT or GRE. Most often, all the top schools, they would want you to do one of these tests. That is the second. Then, depending on where you studied, the test of English. So either TOEFL, IELTS, Duolingo, Cambridge, whatever. These are the three main requirements. And then as part of the application, they would also need reference letters, super important document, right? So 2 or 1 minimum, 2 is usually the case for masters. They would need these requirements. This is what you apply with. Of course, a big part of this all is your story, why you're applying, what you want to do, motivation letters, which people think is, I just write something and with ChatGPT, but that's the most important part of differentiating you from everyone else, right? So this is the first part. The role of this is you apply, they look at all the documents, your CV and everything, of course, and they decide, would you be a good fit for the program? And as per the steps, if they want it, they will call you for the next step, which is the interview usually, right? So the interview can be 1 or 2, depending.
Okay.
And yeah, usually it's 3 weeks time, 2 to 3 weeks between you being invited for the interview, then another 2 to 3 weeks before they release the final decision. That's usually the process.
And could you rank like from the most important to the least important, the requirements?
So let me break it into 2. So one is there are the entry requirements, which is like you need to have this. And I'll be very specific on that. For example, what we see usually is for a lot of our Italian students who want to do a master's management or finance in London. I want to go to London because I want to go investment banking, fine. A lot of London schools have specific GPA requirements for Italians, and you will find on the website. You need to have minimum 107 out of 110. So if you don't fit the minimum requirements. So there is no reason to apply. And we have many cases where people thought they will get to 107, they arrived at 106, and they did not go to Imperial, for example. If you fit the minimum entry requirements, then comes the other documentation, right? So usually the process is very holistic. Holistic means it's not one thing that matters the most, but a high GMAT score, and not because I prepare for GMAT, but I have seen it. And also it happened to me, right? A high GMAT score is a testament of your aptitude, nothing else, right? And this is only the parameter that is standardized. You getting 750, me getting 650, I can compare. But you getting 27.9 at Bocconi, me getting 75% in India, I cannot compare those. So GMAT or a standardized test is a comparable tool. So that is important for admissions, just to have that idea of aptitude level. In my understanding, then again, it depends on if you're doing what we call the pre-experience masters, which is MIMS or MIF, where you do these masters without too much of work experience, not more than 2 years of work experience. So these are the programs for those candidates. If you have more than 2 years of full-time work experience, you usually are the candidate for the MBAs, where the average is around 4 to 5. For MBA people, work experience matters a lot, the quality of the work experience, because you bring that to the class. But let's talk of the pre-experience masters. Yeah. Internships play a lot of role. The different internships you have, where you did the internships. I see a lot of people doing internships. Oh, it's my dad's friend's company. Yes, but you know that it's not gonna fit against somebody who worked their ass off, got into McKinsey and did 4 months internship there. So you know what you're competing. So that matters a lot. That's why if you start early, you can plan for these things. Internships, aptitude, GPA, GMAT. Third is your international exposure experience. This is something which is a lot of people don't understand, but when you go to a top business school around the world, you will be working, studying with people coming from everywhere. And that's one big part of the business school, is putting people together in teams. And they need to know that you can survive, but not only survive, but thrive in such an environment. So having some kind of international experience or exposure is super important, right? Which can be different languages, which can be travels that you traveled, which can be exchange programs like Erasmus and everything, that kind of, you learn these kind of qualities. The last one, which is super understudied, Lorenzo, I can tell you, is the extracurriculars. People don't think they're important, right? In the CV, people forget to put that they have been swimming since they were 5 years, or they have been playing football, at a competitive level, because they think it's not important for studies. No, it's super important, because it's not only studies, but it's you as a person and the qualities that you have that you bring to the class and share with other people. So if you have any special hobbies, if you are into something, if you're passionate about things, and you have stuff to prove it, right? Please mention that. That makes you unique, right? So these are the 4 different categories that the business schools look at. Right.
So listening, thank you very much.
No, I know it was a bit long, but the thing is, when we do an idea of what are the things important, and we have a pie chart, by the way, like you can find it on the website or on a YouTube channel, that we show students your GPA, your marks before. Some of the things you cannot change in your life. Very clear, right? It's done. GMAT you can. So with a high GMAT score, you can compensate if you got low GPA because you were not serious or whatever. That's fine. Have a high GMAT, internships, but also the stories that you tell. Also how you talk about the things that you have done. This is all in your hand, right? So I just want to highlight that it's not one thing that guarantees you admission. Like I got 780 in GMAT, I'm surely in Harvard. No, we had students who got with 650. But it's what are the overall components together that make you as a person that they want in the class.
I think this is super important also, because if you know this and you have this information during the undergraduate period, you can make the right decisions in the view of blah blah blah.
Exactly.
And that was one of the following questions I wanted to ask you, but you already replied, which was what a student should do during the undergraduate period, and basically working on what you said now. So like internships and extracurricular activities and abroad experiences. For example,
yes.
I made a period abroad during my undergraduate period.
And where did you go?
I went to Dublin.
Lovely.
Yeah, Dublin and New Orleans. I went to exchange programs.
Do you think they had any impact on who you are as a person, how you view life, how you view? There you go.
Definitely. When you were talking about that, I was, definitely. I agree with that. And yeah, it opens your mind.
True.
And so if you know this, you can, for example, apply for an Erasmus during the second year or during the third year, but you knew it. So this information are important to make the right decision before applying, and then have higher chances to, get in.
Exactly. I'll just give you one. We are also working on It's in the process. I'm not going to say too much, but in specific candidates, we work them in the early phase like this, that from the first year, like 6 months into the first year, we kind of give them a roadmap. And it's not very strict in terms of, so we look at the university, what are the possible things they can do? And then based on what they are kind of interested in and the schools that we look at, just to be able to, we give them a guideline of what they should be doing, what you said, right?
Yeah,
so GP and everything, but also getting involved in a lot of activities, but not just involved, but make an impact, take the ownership. And it helps you to build up the profile, and you can build up the profile. That is super interesting for a business school, that they will want you. And if they really want you, they will give you money to come, which is scholarship. If you get scholarship, your options increase. You are not limited by choice. So planning ahead is perfect in this case. Absolutely.
Super. What about the second section, the interview? What are usually the how is structured the interview? Let's start from this. I wanted to ask you what are the most frequent questions, but that's too much. How is it structured?
I think interview is easy, in my opinion. I know a lot of people will hate me for saying that. I think it's the easiest part. Why? Because if you're invited for the interview, the idea is that they already like what the opinion the school has about who you are as a person and what you bring to the class. The idea of the interview is to make sure that they are right. It's not to test you again. It's like, I have an idea of Lorenzo, who he is, what he brings to the class, and I have an idea. I want to see him in action because everything is on paper. But with this interaction, how you move, how you express yourself, how you communicate, I get a feeling of who you are, but also why you want to do things, what motivates you, short-term, long-term goals. Everything that they ask you in the interview, almost 80%, 75 to 80%, is what you cover when you apply, right? Because you have to do all that thing. So that's why when we are doing application with students, the least thing I'm worried about is interview, because we already prepare for that before the application. Yes, two things that a lot of people should do is start recording yourself, guys. Communication we think is just talking. It's not just talking. It's sharing how you feel with the other person. You need to transmit the emotions, which is, if you're excited about going to London Business School and you say, I'm very excited about London Business School. Come on. No, it should feel that you want, and this can be learned. That's the best part. It's not that you don't know it. So the key things in an interview are non-verbal communication. That's what you need to prepare. And of course, some situational questions, but with 3-4 days of practice and knowing yourself more, that is okay, right? How it's structured, mostly it's either by alumni or students. It depends on the school, basically, right? So some schools do it with the alumni, and they pick the alumni which are in sync with what you want to do or where you're coming from, so they can speak your language, they can connect with you, which is amazing. You see, they take pains to actually put you in touch with such alumni. And the other is where the admission committee takes the interview. And there is a subtle difference between the two cases, so you prepare accordingly. But at the end of the day, if you know yourself, if you have worked on your communication, if you can transmit what you want, why you want it, you don't need to worry about interview. No, absolutely not.
What I can see is that these top universities, from what you said, is that they really care about the class, which then will be the one, the class which is formed in terms of additional value and what you can bring to the class.
Absolutely. I want to use the word diversity, but I also know it's so abused. But they really, the top schools, and we work a lot with the schools in terms of that. We organize webinars, we talk to them about admission process and everything. The insights that you get, like for example, tomorrow we'll be in Barcelona talking with EAZ and Asade. The reason we do it is, what are you looking for in the candidate is mostly the question we ask. And what I have realized after these years is they're not looking for something specific in a person. It is the values they bring to the class. They want clarity of thought. You should know why you want to do what you want to do. They are evaluating you on how you interact inside the classroom in terms of knowledge, experience, right? But also, how will you interact in the community, which is outside? A lot of times we forget that. So it's both inside the classroom and outside as an ambassador, right? So yeah, it's super important. It's super important to be well-rounded around these things.
All right. You said about scholarships. So I wanted to ask you, is there a way to be financed when we want to apply for this top masters?
Yes, yes. Is it easy? Of course not, right? Right. You are always competing for people who actually need. So there are two types of scholarships. Basically, there are many different, but let's say two types. One is need-based, which is on the financial condition of you, economic condition of you, your family, or who's supporting you, right? That is one. And that is usually by the endowment that the school usually has. Like they have funds that they use to always have amazing students coming there and they finance their studies, right? Need-based scholarship. The other is what we call the merit-based scholarship, ideally, right? Which is they want, and merit is not always only about GPA and GMAT. Yes, these are always some of the things they look at, because if you are a top student performer, you would have performed heavily on that. But they also look at the career and everything else. So these are two. The others, then there are other scholarships which are always listed on the university's website. So guys, please go through that, make a list of those things. And sometimes you need to have different applications for these scholarships, right? And they have different deadlines to apply. And sometimes there are scholarships from the governments, like Eiffel Scholarship in Paris, which is open for international students, or from Italian government, people who are going outside, right? Or from NGOs. But what I have seen is if you make a strong case in terms of why you should have a scholarship, and you usually end up getting the scholarship, but it's also important to do your groundwork in financial planning, have a very clear idea of how much can you get, more or less, and if not, how are you going to finance the other part? I also want to mention two amazing institutes that I had the pleasure of working with in these days. One is Prodigy Finance, which was a startup from INSEAD alumni, right? And I have seen it has helped a lot of students, you know, with the mortgage and everything else. It's you guys can look it up. And the other is Juno, which is American, with the same idea, right? So it's not that a business school costs me 200,000 euro. Nobody has that money, you know, on average. So people find ways of doing it. That's why it's a planning in progress. But if you plan, you have chances.
You can also finance part of the fee, correct? Or just 100% of the fee?
Oh, no, these are different. 100% scholarships, which we call the full ride, are very limited, especially in Europe. You have more chances of getting a full ride scholarship in the States, and that too mainly for the MBA. For the masters, not so much. Well, and when I say masters, I'm talking about the business masters. For technical masters, yes, there are many universities. But overall, Europe has fewer 100% scholarships. The US has more. It's just how much money the university has given by ex-students, alumni, government, whatever. But you do usually what you get is around 30, 50 is the average range, 30 to 50% scholarship, right? And I think if you're planning and if you're a great student and you have a great profile, I would plan that I might get 30, 50 and plan for everything else already. And then if you end up getting more, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes you need to surprise yourself. So that's a good idea.
I think Prodigy finances some time, which is in the market, because
they're pretty like I think around, I don't remember, but probably like 7, 8 years now.
Yeah, because when I was looking for the master, I found Prodigy Finance already in 2019. So
yeah, true. They are from before. True.
Probably last question or one of the last ones. How, in your opinion, looking your students, how different the method of the undergraduate, Italian undergraduate method compared to the abroad master method?
Oh, wow. I'm so glad you asked me this question. And I will tell it with the story that because we usually stay in touch with the students, right? That's the good part of the work. And I have seen people struggle when they go outside if they were educated in the Italian system for one main thing: theory versus practical thing. Again, I'm generalizing. It's not always true. I know that, but most often is The idea here is a lot of things that you take in and put it out there. But outside, when you go to masters in abroad, like in great schools, it's a different approach. It's a lot of practical things, learning by doing. You work in teams, but it's problem solving at the core of it, right? You think logically, and then you based on the principles of the theory, you arrive at conclusions like different case studies and stuff. But it's more theory here and less practice, and there is a lot of practical thing and less theory. So this is what I see a lot of times students struggle in terms of how it's structured.
I just want to add something. Let's see if you agree, if you found this. During our, we helped also MBA students with their, microeconomics or finance exams, or I mean, it depends on the exam. But what I found is that when you do an undergraduate Italian degree, you are used to, I have this problem and I have to find the right solution. So like this problem, the solution is 10. And if it is not 10, I'm wrong. Then I have some MBA students and you have some questions or, like usually they are like business cases and where there is not the right solution. It's like, I don't know which one is the correct one, but what I want you to do is to give me an answer, justify that answer, and let's see. I don't know if that one is correct.
Exactly. No, you're so right. I don't want to go back, but this is something that we already see happening during the GMAT prep. And it goes back to the idea that you're fixated with a step-by-step process that leads to the only one solution always. Where when you go to these things that you put in the business world, just because something was done doesn't mean that it was the right thing. And when you say, come up with an answer, but justify, that's the more, the more practical way of, hey, it's fine what you said, as long as you can tell me why you thought that.
Right.
And then have enough humility to go back and correct yourself, right? So in MBA, there's always this thing, it depends. the answer is it depends.
Definitely.
Like when we were doing and our professor, one of the professors was like, okay, these are the 3 solutions. I want you to give me 6. That's the way of thinking, which we say outside the box, inside the line, I don't care. But it's true. It's true. You push yourself to think in different ways and challenge the assumptions that you make. That's the goal. And that's exactly what we see in GMAT. I'll give you one specific example. We struggle a lot with people who come from engineering in the quantitative section of GMAT because they hit a certain plateau and they cannot improve because they always want to use equations and they waste so much time with long calculations because they're used to doing that. They don't think, what if I pick a number? What about these things, which is a mix of math, yes, but also logical thinking. So you're right, absolutely.
And what happens in reality, sometimes something happens and there is not the right answer. You think that thing is right, you try, and then after you see if that was the right one or the wrong one.
True.
Super. All right. So last question. But you already, talk about this, but just to close the interview, what 700 plus can do for students?
I mean, yes, we help you get into the top schools worldwide. And when I say top school, I don't only mean the ranking, but it's not. I would suggest everybody who's listening to at least get in touch with us, even to have an idea of how to get started. And I know that there are a lot of people who are struggling, don't even know. We have tried to do this from our side. Like we have started partnering with a lot of student organizations like B Lab at Bocconi, where the year 1 students, we come to the park, we have beer, we have fun, but the idea is that they know us and we already see the results that they come to us. Hey, I haven't thought yet, but I'm planning. How can I start now? And at least you give them a guide, and we have a lot of resources that we are working on developing, but we have developed some that gives you an idea of what to do. We do a lot of events with the schools so that at least even if you participate, it's for free for all the students. We don't charge 150 for 15 minutes. That's not our motto, right? And once you have a concrete idea, or you have some idea, you can also schedule a talk call with me or my team on specific things. Again, there's no commitment. And once you see that, hey, we are the right people to help you and you want to partner with us on this, and we want to partner with you, we have the whole prep, like GMAT and everything else. So at this, I think that's the whole idea. Like, don't waste time, just get in touch with us. If you're thinking of masters, or if this is a world that you can, be, and you don't need to call us, just subscribe. You will get emails about the events. You can see if it's for you, this path, or you want to go some different way. That's what I can tell all the audience.
I would say start early and get information.
Always, absolutely. I mean, it's better to be over prepared, I would say, always. Yeah.
All right, Anshul. I want to thank you a lot, because as I said, in the moment in which I needed that help, I didn't find it. But
I'm sorry, but we were not there then. For your MBA, whenever you want.
You could start before. Why 2009?
I know.
But
you see,
yeah.
early preparation. No, but
so,
it's a pleasure. It's my first podcast, by the way.
All right.
So I'm glad. I mean, we do interviews and stuff, but in a podcast way and stuff. I was like, I don't know how it is, but it was great talking to you. Right. As I said before, I think we share some of the same values towards the community that we are trying to help, or give them something concrete. But thank you so much for having me. It's an immense pleasure, and I hope this talk brings some value, even if it's one. Start early, take your time, do your own research before you trust anyone. I think that would be a job well done for me. But thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. I think there was a lot of value, and I hope that students will take it and put it in practice. And
I hope. Otherwise, it was 1 hour wasted for us.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm sure there is. But it was lovely talking to you.
Thanks.
Super.
So I would say in bocca al lupo to all the students, and see you in the next interview. And yeah, thanks, and ciao.
Bye everyone. Thank you for watching.